On December the 5th, my stepmother died 3 days after having an adverse reaction to the COVID-19 vaccine. 3 months ago, my young niece of 24, who was disabled since birth from spina bifida, also died as a result of an adverse reaction due to her workplace restraints. My brother is still recovering from his adverse reaction as well. Look, I'm running as a Senate candidate in the federal election for Tasmania. And I practice as a barrister at law, and I specialise in human rights. I represent literally thousands of Australians in my legal practice who had been adversely affected by the mandatory vaccination directions and policies. I'm advising 28,000 teachers in New South Wales and Queensland and firefighters across the country. I'm working with 1,800 workers in Western Australia, with 680 employers involved. My work has saved 300 Tasmanian warehouse workers from being restricted by a mandatory vaccination policy, and I saved their jobs. I fought a protracted court battle against the Director of Health for 600 healthcare workers here in Tasmania and won their fight for their case to be heard. The case was then filed in the Supreme Court of Tasmania and was ready to be fought, but unfortunately the case was withdrawn due to financial restraints. I have helped high-profile AFL football players who have resisted the AFL mandatory vaccination mandates or have had adverse reactions to the vaccines. I was successful in getting those players back onto the field playing footy despite the mandatory vaccination directions. I also advocate for people who are harmed or affected by wireless electromagnetic radiation from mobile phone towers, small cells and smart meters. I have represented many thousands of Australians in this cause. I stopped my first wireless mobile phone tower in the Byron Shire in Mullumbimby some years ago and advised the Byron Shire Council, who in turn implemented a moratorium or a suspension on the 5G development in the Shire. I convinced other councils across the nation to do the same. I've stopped many wireless facilities since. My most notable success was halting 2,500 TPG facilities from irradiating Australians across the nation on health grounds. I was also instrumental in fighting NBN in court, which in turn forced the Liberal National Government to allow 2 million Australian homes to be connected to NBN's safe fibre optic cable instead of the dangerous wireless. I've gained vast support from the Australian community and formed the No 5G Party, which recently was deregistered as a political party because the major parties had voted on changes to the Australian Electoral Act, which forced many minor parties to be deregistered. Thank God for the Australian Federation Party, who was our saviour, who embraced the minor parties to join in a Freedom Alliance under the umbrella of the Australian Federation Party. I have well-honed legal skills needed in the upper house to scrutinise any law passed by the major parties in the lower house of representatives. I vow to convince the Senate to reject any law and send it back to the House of Representatives that affects our health and freedoms. And I'll raise these objections loudly in the Senate, which will force the media and my fellow senators to take notice. I get results. I have a proven track record, and I believe that I'll be an excellent watchdog in the Senate for the freedom movement. So please vote 1, Ray Broomhall, Australian Federation Party. Vote 2, Justin Stringer, also from the Australian Federation Party. Thank you, and God bless.